As a sports bettor, do you prefer betting on overs or unders? Hello, my name is Logan. I'm a Harvard student studying statistics, astrophysics, and computer science. And today I'm here to break down for you guys overs versus unders in sports betting. Overs and unders in sports betting are probably the most common type of sports bet. It's the first thing that really comes to mind whenever you think of placing a bet. Whether it's over or under on total runs in a baseball game, over or under on a player's passing yards in a football game, you're going to find overs and unders in basically every single sport and every single type of bet. So it's really important to think about which one is likely to be more profitable. As you guys might expect, the answer is not cut and dry. It's not that one is always more profitable than the other. And obviously, just like a lawyer would say, it really depends. So we'll be diving into the nitty-gritty overs versus unders in this video so that you guys can learn how to make mathematically profitable bets on overs and unders. All right, so when I click on a video that has a relatively simple question in the title, like what's more profitable, overs or unders, and the answer I get is it depends, watch a little bit longer to find out, I'm frustrated by that kind of answer because I want a clean-cut, simple answer to the original question. And as I already said, there isn't really a clear-cut, simple answer to the original question because it really does depend. But I'll try my best really quickly to give you guys some type of answer. So if I had to pick what's more likely to be profitable, overs or unders, I would lean towards unders. And my reasoning for that is this. The market usually favors the over. A lot of people are betting based on emotions or betting based on what they want to see happen.
I got too much fucking money on this shit. No, man. No!
So if you're going to a football game, say, you're probably more likely to bet on what you want to see happen, which is a high-scoring, entertaining game. So you're probably going to bet on the over on points. Or you might bet on the over on passing yards, or the over on receiving yards, or over on touchdowns thrown. All of these different things lead people to bet on the more entertaining event, which is usually the over. So oftentimes the market will be more saturated on the over than the under, which will lead the odds to swing towards the over instead of the under, giving you a mathematically profitable betting opportunity on the under. Now, that is a possible scenario, and it does happen relatively frequently, but the reality is that's not every single time by any means, and you really need to know how to find discrepancies in the sports betting market so that you can find profitable overs or unders. So let's talk about how to find those market discrepancies. All right, so like I said, if I really had to choose between overs and unders, I would lean towards unders, but the reality is it's really depending on the game, depending on the bet. So let's talk about a far more reliable strategy that you can use to find profitable bets instead of just trying to guess between overs or unders or assuming the market's swinging one way. The best way to find profitable overs and unders is to compare lines across sportsbooks. Sportsbooks are very successful organizations, both in terms of making money and in terms of predicting sporting events. Remember, sportsbooks are multi-million-dollar corporations with thousands of employees, all working to make sure that they are creating the most accurate models and projections to predict the events of sports games. This allows them to set their lines and make money off those lines. If sportsbooks were setting bad lines, they would go out of business. So that's why when we compare odds between different sportsbooks, we can get a really good idea of how likely an event is to happen. A great example is here, looking at the Giants versus Nationals game later tonight at Logan Webb's total pitching outs line. You can see him to pitch over 17.5 outs, or all the way through the 6th inning, is favored at minus 190 on 3 different books and over minus 200 on the other 3 options here. It's important to note here that 10bet and DraftKings are really the same, as well as Pinnacle and Penny, but regardless, we have 4 sports books to take data from here, and all of them place Logan Webb to go over 17.5 outs at around minus 200. So when we see Fliff is out of line with the rest of the market here at minus 150, we get an idea that Fliff is probably slipping up on these lines and giving us a profitable betting opportunity. The entire market agrees here that around 2 out of 3 times, Logan Webb is going to go over 17.5 outs. But Fliff is saying he's only going to go over around 3 out of 5 times. So we have a mathematically profitable betting opportunity because it's going to happen more frequently in real life than Fliff thinks. So by comparing the odds across the entire market, you can find when a sportsbook stands out, in this case, Fliff. When a sportsbook stands out, you need to hammer that line. because a sportsbook disagreeing with the entire rest of the market means they're probably wrong and you can probably make money off of them. Another way to look at what I was just saying is to think of sportsbooks as serving two different purposes. Obviously, the primary purpose of a sportsbook that you're probably used to is to place bets and try to win money. But the other purpose of a sportsbook is as a data point. If you have 17 different sportsbooks available to you, and 16 of them say that one team is more likely to win, or the over is more likely to hit than the under, and the 17th book disagrees, the 17th book is probably wrong. So instead of just looking at sportsbooks as places for you to bet, you can start looking at sportsbooks as projections and predictions for the game, and then use these sportsbooks against each other. I'm assuming and hoping if you're on the OddsJam channel, you've heard of OddsJam, but that's exactly what OddsJam does. This screen that I'm on right here is the positive EV screen, and it does exactly what I described. It scans the entire market across all sportsbooks, and then uses those sportsbooks lines to figure out how likely an event is to happen, and then based on the market consensus of all sportsbooks, it finds discrepancies, which provides you with mathematically profitable betting opportunities. So the top play on the positive EV screen is the one we just looked at with Logan Webb over 17.5 outs. But there's plenty of profitable sports bets that the EV screen is finding by scanning the market and looking for discrepancies. And ultimately, if you're looking to make a profit as a sports bettor, you might have a model that says Logan Webb is really likely to go over 17.5 outs. But if you place that bet at minus 190, you're not going to make money in the long run, because there was a minus 150 sitting right in front of you where you make a couple more percent, maybe around 5 to 10% more profit on this bet, and you didn't even see it. So if you want to be making money sports betting, you need to be taking the best odds on the market, and you really should be looking at sportsbooks as data points in order to find where the most profitable betting opportunities are. This example with Logan Webb is a great example of scanning the market, finding discrepancies, and placing bets that go with those discrepancies. You guys can see I placed a $150 bet on Logan Webb to go over 17.5 outs. I've never even heard of Logan Webb until today. I'm not that big of a baseball fan, but when the entire market agrees that he's really likely to do it and Fliff falls behind, you can make money off of it. All right, so we were just looking at an example here with this Logan Webb pitching outs play where the positive EV screen scans the market and tells you that the over is profitable. But there's another screen that's really useful to you on OddsJam that you should be acquainted with. Instead of the positive EV screen telling you to bet on an over or an under, what if you bet on an over and an under? And that leads us to the arbitrage screen. So the arbitrage screen operates very similarly to the positive EV screen in that it scans the entire market simultaneously to find profitable opportunities for you. But here, one of the cool parts is that the arbitrage screen gives you risk-free bets. So with the positive EV screen, with this Logan Webb play we were just looking at, even though it has a very big edge on the market and wins maybe 2 out of 3 times or somewhere in there, you're still going to lose a good amount of the time. That's not the case with arbitrage bets. Arbitrage betting allows you to make risk-free profits by placing an over and an under on 2 different sports books that disagree so that you can walk away with a risk-free return. For example, let's look at Logan Webb again. You can see his strikeout line is set at 4.5 on Fliff and 4.5 on a lot of the other markets. It's actually at 5.5 on some books, but we'll look at the 4.5 line for right now. You can see Fliff says to go over 4.5 is minus 110. The entire rest of the market is around minus 140. This bet online is right here at minus 160, but around minus 140, minus 150 or so. But if you look at the under now, on bet online you're getting plus 128 as opposed to minus 110 on Fliff. This 128 is bigger than this minus 110, which means if you actually bet on both options, the over 4.5 and the under 4.5, on those 2 different sports books, you could lock in a return. For example, the max you can bet on Fliff is $250. So imagine you bet $250 on Fliff for Logan Webb to go over 4.5, then you'd be recommended to bet $209.33 on him to go under 4.5, and you'd walk away with $18 guaranteed risk-free profit. So in some cases, it actually makes sense to bet both the over and the under. This is an example of an arbitrage bet where it makes a lot of sense to do exactly that, and you will walk away with a guaranteed profit every single time. So definitely check out the OddsJam screen. It will find those discrepancies for you, and then all you have to do is go over to the calculator, plug in how much money you're risking on one side of the bet. It'll tell you how much to do on the other side, and even tell you exactly how much profit you're going to make off of that particular arbitrage bet. All right, so one more situation where you might want to bet on an over and an under is one of my favorite types of sports bets, which is called a middle bet. So with a middle bet, you're betting on an over and an under at two different lines. For example, here looking at this Canadian Football League game coming up, you'd bet over 30.5 points on MyBookie and under 31.5 points on FanDuel. So it's guaranteed that one of these bets wins, but in the case where the game finishes with exactly 31 points, which isn't a very uncommon total score in football, you'd actually win both bets. So imagine you could put down $250 here on MyBookie, then you should put down $39.15 over on FanDuel. You're guaranteed to lose around $3 in most situations. So if the game finishes with any score other than 31 total points, you'd lose about $3. And that's because this isn't a very good middle. Usually your middles, you'd hope to be arbitrage bets also. For example, maybe change these odds from 630 to 730, which is very possible to happen at some point. And now you're guaranteed in every situation to make a profit. So if the game doesn't finish with 31 points, you still walk away with $1.50 of profit. But in the case where the game finishes with exactly 31 points, you'd win this bet for roughly $300, and you'd win this bet for roughly $40, and walk away with around $340 in profit. So it's low risk, high reward, because some middle bets you'll lose $1 to maybe $3. Other middle bets you'll make $1 or $2 in most situations. But if that exact one case happens, where in this particular example there's 31 total points, you win both bets and you make hundreds of dollars. So with a middle bet, it's very low risk, very high reward. Sometimes it's even no risk, or it's going to give you profit every single time. So middle bets are really fun. They make games really fun to watch because you're pulling for that really specific outcome. But they're definitely a really intriguing type of sports bet for you to check out. And I highly recommend taking a look at the OddsJam page so that you can do just that. I hope you have learned a lot about overs and unders, but I'm sure I missed a couple things. So if you have any questions, please feel free to comment and I'll get back to you guys with answers. But I appreciate you guys for sticking around. I hope you learned a lot and I look forward to talking to you guys again soon. Thanks.